Dick Albee,
Here.
Deborah Greenacre,
Here.
Bill Connor, Dennis Otto,
Here.
Ron Helmbolt,
Here.
Lee Trucks.
Here. Okay, approval of agenda. You all have an agenda in front of you. Any additions, corrections, deletions? If not,
Also move we approve the agenda as read.
we have a second?
I second.
We've moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as submitted. Any additional comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Approval of minutes. The minutes of last meeting were submitted. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move we approve the minutes of the last meeting, January 8th, 2020.
Second.
It's moved and seconded, we approve the minutes. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Have a public comment on any agenda-related items? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business, and it looks like we have none. Old business, the Michigan Historic Preservation Network update. Kyle?
So on January 14th of 2020, I received a memo welcoming us to the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. The memo states, we're delighted that you have joined the MHPN at the Historic District Commission level, and in doing so you join many other individuals around the state and share your enthusiasm and commitment to the heritage of different communities. As a member, you are subscribed to the quarterly newsletter and included in our email communications. Also, what's in front of us today is two larger documents that go over the membership and other annual reports about the MHPN. So those are in front of us today, and feel free to review those at your own convenience. So that has been taken care of, and everyone is a member of the Michigan Historic Preservation Network now. So
Do we get a badge?
create your own badge, actually. So yeah.
Our patch.
Yeah. So that's an update on that. As I get more correspondence from the Historic Preservation Network, I'll pass that along to everyone, but we're all in an email listserv and we're all receiving more communications that way. So
They do offer some training programs, and that's probably something we should continue to look at to see whether there's something that will help the board.
absolutely.
Anything else on the Historic Preservation Network? Any comments from board members? All right, permit forms update.
All right, so I've provided everyone with all the different HDC forms that have relevance to the district commission. We talked about setting a fee schedule that was passed by city council for $50 per permit. So what's in front of us today and in the packet are templates to all of those forms. So today we can discuss what those forms look like and ways they can be edited, or any more discussion about that. So the first one we can go over is the application for certificate of appropriateness. This is the main form that comes through the planning department and the museum's desk. This is the form that the museum curator looks through to detail the project and see if it meets the different appropriate certificate measures of the historic district. So what's highlighted in yellow on the forms are what's been added. So you'll see on the first page of all of the forms, there is a step-by-step guide that goes over what is to be expected from an applicant, and different timelines and things associated with that. So on the first page, highlighted in yellow, it says $50 payment, checks made payable to the city of Manistee. I guess we can go over each of the different forms, and I'd like to take any comments and things.
Cal, would this be a good time to bring up the expiration date?
Yeah,
That I
and-
think could be added to that application, each
Yeah.
application?
Sure.
Because I think each application, we need to have an expiration date on it so that we know when it expires or when that certificate expires. Right now, I think, according to Kyle, we're expiring within a year once we pass a certificate of appropriateness. My question is if we have a project, which is a large project, and they're 90% done and they're still working on it, and they've been in touch with us, we know how it's coming, are we gonna, and it goes beyond a year, are we gonna ask them to fill out another application, or are we just gonna use our discretion to renew that automatically? And I think that should be left to our discretion, because everyone's gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna have projects that approve an application, and nothing's done on the project, and nobody's ever come to us and said what's happening. And those we should let expire, and I think they have to pay for another renewal. But, you know, I think that we need to put something in there so that the applicant knows what to expect when they fill one of these out as far as a timeline.
I agree with what you're saying. Would that be on the first page, or would that be in the application itself?
I think it should be in the application itself, or at least the,
So in my head, if I could interrupt, sorry, the,
could have it under permit, like a number 4.
yeah, a bullet point under the permit, if there was to be a need to re-look at the permit before it's expired, the HDC reserves the right to extend the permit without needing payment. Can you?
Right,
can
yeah.
we- Okay. I'll figure out language for under permit to talk about project-specific extensions, basically. Is that what I'm understanding?
How are we gonna determine, shouldn't we hear from the contractor, whoever's performing the work, if it does come to that close to a year? We probably have to know where he stands.
Well, yeah, I
You know
think,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because, you know how, just because they say we're not done yet, well, you know what I mean, they could do.
No, I think we have to-
A year and say we're not done yet.
We have to be familiar with the project, and I think the only way for us to be familiar is for him to come to us and let us know where he is
That's what I'm saying.
and how many more weeks or months he's got left in the whole works. And then we make a decision after that, whether or not we want to.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Maybe the month before the permit expires, we need an update, you know, to know where he's at. I mean, you know, we don't want to just extend it because he walks in or she walks in, you know, a week before it's due and say, this is where I'm at.
Right?
That's what I'm getting at. We need some kind of update.
Yeah, we should have an
We can
update.
issue, okay, we see where the work's progressing, you know, how much time you need, fine. I
Yeah,
don't think we can just leave it an open permit fee or not without knowing where they stand at the 11th month or 12th month, you know?
Well, do we need another form? A permit extension form?
It's up to you. We can go with, under permit, staff will reach out to check in project status 10 months in to see where we're at, 11 months in to see where we're at. That can be on the first page in the step-by-step guide. I'm not sure if another form is needed. I'm not, it's up to you.
Well, typically all of these things are filed, right?
They're scanned online, yeah.
Yeah. If we take an action like that, there should be some record of it, which could be placed on file.
what about the minutes? Wouldn't that be enough record?
Well, personally, I think that in a lot of occasions, that a staff extension would be appropriate. And they wouldn't have to actually come to a meeting. They'd just say, look, it's gonna take us another month. Can we get an extension? And the staff could okay that.
What if we had a form that they have to turn in before the year is up stating where they're at on the project?
Progress form?
Well, right, and then tell us where you're at and how much, what you think you need to go to continue the project. What if we do that?
That'd be a good thing to
Instead of
do.
them coming here,
Yeah.
fill out that form and say, you could detail it out a little bit and say, this is what we need to know where you're at if you want this permit extended. And then you can revoke it or based on what they tell you then, really. Or have the gentleman or the man or woman come in because we have some questions now if we think something's not right.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm getting at, the bottom line, we should know where the project stands if you
Right.
want an extension, is the bottom line, really. Because we run the risk of running in exactly where we're doing this, where it's just gonna keep going and going.
So a progress.
Could have something that the commission has the authority to waive the $50 fee and extend if they have been informed upon the progress of the project on a regular basis and know where the, when the completion of the project is projected.
Yeah, at least a ballpark, so we know
Yeah.
what you're asking. I mean, we don't wanna run into a year, you know what I mean, just
Right.
keep going and going. That's the whole idea of doing what we're doing right now.
Okay, so under.
sensitive to the fact that we don't want to make this process odious to people. I mean, nobody likes to fill out all kinds of multiple forms, and as simple as we can make this process, we should do that. On the other hand, I do think that we should document actions that are taken. So we need some way to document that action, whether that's some sort of board action or whether that's something that staff could do, what has the discretion to do, because I think staff could always say, we want the board to take a look at this situation, but I think that I don't have any problem with extending a permit for a period of time with no additional fee. I think that's appropriate, but we ought to find out some simple way for that to be accomplished that still documents the action that was taken.
Well, I think that we could, if we put something in to the effect that we've got the authority to extend a contract, providing it, we know where the project is, if they've come to us and told us where the project is and how long it's going to be, or whatever, however we want to word that, then the board has that right to do so, and then if we extend it, we do it at a meeting, and it's in our minutes, and it's all
How
documented.
about this? Why don't we make it a regular process that, say, a month before the expiration, we send the project a letter with a form asking them what the progress is, and if they want an extension, could they fill this out and send it back to the office, or something like that?
Or we need this filled out and sent back, really.
Yeah. Does that sound possible, Kyle?
Yeah.
And then we should have, and I agree with that, I think that'd be a good idea, but we should have in there, in the application someplace, that what the time period is for the certificate, so that they know that.
I think that's
The
it.
other thing that does is that gives us notice that the guy might somebody might send it back and just say, hey, I'm done.
Right.
It's all taken care of, and then we have that documentation to close it out.
So on the step-by-step guide, I'm envisioning under the permit area to have a bullet point saying, staff will reach out after 11 months to see project status. A progress report follows this document for applicant to fill out as to the status of their project. Commission may extend certificates based on project status. Those are the bullet points I have currently. Is that encompassing of everything that you've said?
That sounds like it to me.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'll create another progress report form. They will be added to each of these applications under at least the certificate of appropriateness, number 4 permit. I'll add the 3 bullets and bring another copy next meeting to go over again, so we can finalize that. It's still in working document, and if any applications come in before this is solidified, we'll still use the permit request forms that came before this one. Does that make sense? because it hasn't been solidified yet. It's just a draft, it's a working document. So I'll add those and bring it next month. Let's go over the paint colors request. Do you envision that each one of these requests have the same language for the certificate of appropriateness, what we just decided? Is that something you'd,
I think so,
for each form?
yeah.
Have we thought about, or are we concerned about if you apply for a permit to do any kind of work here? Is there gonna be any time limit to start the job?
It's based on getting a building permit. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, just in general, somebody applies for a painting permit and doesn't do any painting for 6 months. Where are we at? I mean, I don't know. Are we gonna stipulate that the job must start within a certain amount of time too?
I don't know if we can, in the sense that if the permit's valid for a year, does it matter if it starts in the 10th month and it finishes by the 11th month? Is it something that we have the authority to stipulate? Is that what you're asking, basically?
Well, but that, when I guess I'm getting it, then we run into the idea of, they don't start to the 11th month and walk in here and say, I need another year. Well, you didn't do nothing for a year either. See what I'm getting at a little bit? That's probably a rare instance. I'm just wondering if we need a time limit to, work has to proceed or at least start.
Huh.
It doesn't have to be within a week. I know there are all kinds of variables with material and everything else. But,
Do we need a projected start date on the forms?
yeah, actually, that should be, yeah, that's a projected start date, should even be on there. That's a good point, very good point. That's what I'm getting at, you know, you
Yeah, I
can't,
mean,
you
if
gotta,
somebody comes in and says, I'm gonna do some renovations on this building, and when are you gonna start? Well, it depends on the weather. Well, we kinda know that maybe April 1st might be a good date, so you could put a projected start date at that, you know,
You could have a projected
And
start
that's-
and a finish date.
and maybe that's where the year starts for the certificate of appropriateness. The same thing for painting, what's the projected start date, you know?
I'll add a projected start date to some of these, or all of these forms. I'll find a spot in this,
do you, just to make sure I'm clear, on the projected start date, you wanna tie that to what the permit is, when it's gonna be issued then, or when it's good at? I'm not sure that's a really great idea, don't you wanna, if I apply for a permit tomorrow, I can still put down the projected start date as 2 months from now. I don't think the permit should start 2 months from now. It's starting right now, I'm applying for it. Because you're not gonna do it for 2 months, that shouldn't cut, you know what I'm getting at? The permit really being starting then. I'm envisioning most people will start at a normal, you know, you're not gonna go for a painting permit.
Once they get the permit approved, most people want to get started as soon as they can.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, I don't know that we wanna tie that to the permit doesn't start till you start working. What if they don't start working for 9 months? So the permit's gonna be, we're almost into issuing another permit again.
Yeah, we have a project that's in that state right now,
Yeah.
the Washington State project. That is expired and was never started.
Can't we just, with your suggestion, can't we just have a projected start date?
yeah.
And it has to be, or how about a projected start date within a 6-month window?
Well, no, we have examples like that 100 Washington Street where it appears as though they're working there inside virtually every day. But they aren't doing anything to the outside where we come in.
Right.
So, you know, you could say projected start date and they could say, well, we started last fall, but not on the part that we're responsible for. So I think it's kind of, and that.
Well, but that falls under a different permit, then we don't handle interior anyway, right?
We only deal with exterior, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's so.
but in their mind,
Well, their
they've
mind-
started and they're working
Well,
and,
that,
you
well, their
know.
mind doesn't really count, not to be crass about it.
Well, if this is set from a year of the date of approval, I think we're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Projected,
If you wanna paint the building outside, I don't think you're gonna come in December for the permit anyway. You know what I mean?
No,
You should go
probably
outside.
not, probably not.
And even doing exterior construction work. most people probably aren't gonna apply for a permit in December or November to do work with the weather and everything up here.
Maybe we don't need a projected start date.
Let's do that too, I guess.
I don't think we do. I think we should have the year go from the time that we approve this till it's over.
Okay, let's just do that then, I guess.
What is the approval date, by the way?
It's the date that it's approved and the payment's made, and when it's entered in the BSNA software as a land use permit, and it's tied to the certificate of appropriateness line item, whenever that date is, they have 365 days from that date. So if you,
Not necessarily the date that we say, yes, it's a good project.
so you, say you approve it today, and I go back to the office tomorrow or the next day and put it in the system, it's whenever that's in the system, that same,
Okay, so
around,
it's probably within a day of whenever the,
it's within a week,
commission-
Make the approval.
at the latest, within a week of the approval from the HDC.
but it's not the application date.
No. So you can apply for this today and it won't be approved until next month, for example, and then it won't start until it's approved.
Okay.
And we'd have to review it anyway, right?
Right.
Okay, so, ju-
So, are we agreed that, is it the consensus that we don't need a projected start date?
I don't think we do.
that's fine. What I have for each form is under the permit to add, staff will reach out after 11 months. The progress report will need to be filled out if not completed. Commission may extend certificate based on the project status. Those are the 3 bullets for each form. No projected start date, just add that to each form, then I'll bring it back. Is that what we're understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any comments on, the signage and awnings permit?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any comments on that permit? Or request?
I don't.
Note that this is this museum director and the staff, not the board. Okay, process for requesting design assistance. To my mind, this is a new, has this always been there, Kyle?
I've been here since April of last year, and this has always been there, yes. It's very seldom used, if it hasn't been used since I've been there, so if that answers your question.
Been used since I've been on the commission either, so. Any comments on this form? Hearing none, let's go on. The process for application for demolition.
I was surprised when I saw that. I didn't know we were into demolition. No, what you're saying is if in order for an already approved historical building, part of it to be demolished, they have to come here?
Right.
Okay, I wasn't,
That's a part of the guidelines, the National Historic Guidelines.
okay.
the demolition of an entire structure or a part of a structure within a historic district.
Yep, those are considered exceptional circumstances.
Yeah, I don't recall ever discussing that in the time I've been on the commission. It's never been an issue, but it could be sometime. I mean, somebody bought the Ramsdale Inn and decided they wanted to tear it down and but in a bingo parlor, we might object, you know?
Are you familiar with this at all, Kyle?
In the capacity of,
Construction?
what?
Are you familiar with anything that's gone on with that?
With demolition, you mean?
Yeah,
No, not. There hasn't been anything since I've been here. It's very exceptional for that to come to fruition, but if there was ever someone who wanted to tear down a building in the historic district, it would need to come before the board, I'm pretty sure, so.
Yeah, it's never been an issue since I've been on the commission. But it is potentially one.
But you could have something, I mean, you could have somebody wanted to tear down the Glicks building, build apartments there or something. So, you know.
I guess I'm thinking if it's a safety issue or the structure's beyond repair or something that,
There are guidelines for it in the state Secretary of Interior Standards and Rehabilitation. It goes over if it's dilapidated, if it's beyond repair, if it's dangerous, then it can be means for demolition. So there are standards in place for that.
And it's also for historical preservation.
Right.
So if you have somebody that wants to tear down a building that, you know, it's got historical significance,
yeah.
and we have questions about that.
The routine repair and maintenance request is another form that I was never aware of. Is that something that we use?
Once again, I haven't used it. Most of the ones I use are the certificate of appropriateness, the paint, and the awning. Those are the main ones. This one's never come before my desk. I'm not sure if Mark sees them, but
Any board members have any comments on that?
Would that be like a window replacements or something?
yeah, or renovating the different cornices or columns or anything like that. So this would be that they already have a certificate of appropriateness, they've done the work, and now they're just trying to maintain it, and they wanted to come before the HGC or to see if it was a feasible project.
I don't have any questions on it.
Would this apply, for instance, like, say, tuck pointing masonry?
Can you be more specific?
I was just thinking that we did a extensive tuck pointing on the masonry on our building, you know, a number of years ago. I don't recall we ever, well, that may have been before the Historic Commission was here, so maybe that doesn't apply, but the situation certainly would be. I mean, there's a lot of brick buildings around that kind of need tuck pointed once in a while, repair on masonry.
Or soffits that are falling off.
Yeah, do we want people to use this form and before they attempt those kinds of maintenance items?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, in my mind, it's never been discussed at a commission meeting before. I suppose there are situations where we would want to do that.
So the director and curator is the designated representative to review these projects. If he decides to that the HGC needs to see it, the request would come before the commission. So it's feasible that you've never seen one of these because Mark has handled them all internally. If it's the request of the board that anything that comes before his desk comes through the HGC, that's something to note too. But as you were saying about expediting process, that's the most expedited they can be with requests like this, just to have the curator, director look at it and approve it, but, so that's probably why you haven't seen it.
Well, I think that's all in terms of permit updates, unless someone has some more comments.
When they apply for a permit, does the city require a certificate of insurance or anything?
No.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking about, the license number for the contractor and things like that, or?
No, certificate of insurance that they're insured against.
No, it's not required. For a building permit, maybe, I don't know, but that's through a third-party agency who does the building permits in town.
Moving on to permit review. We do have a list of the outstanding permits. There's nothing that's expired or terribly close to expiration at this point. Next one I can see is 354 River Street, which is simply painting the building. The other comment I have is that the 347 and 349 River Street, they do seem to be making some progress on that, which is good.
Nothing on 411 though. I haven't seen anything going on in 411, have you? River Street,
Yeah.
'cause those all expire at the same time, so.
Yep. Any other comments on this expiring permits?
So Kyle, a month before those expire, then you'll start sending out a request for, asking them to let us know where they are.
Yeah, I think 2 months before the end of them would be better, to be honest.
That's fine.
So I'm gonna do, after 10 months of the permit being issued, the staff will reach out to confirm the status of the project. And if necessary, we can get all the agenda items ready and around for the 11th month, if you will's meeting, and get them, if they need an extension by the end of their permit cycle. Does that make sense?
Great.
Okay. Anything else on permit review? Okay, public comments and communications concerning items not on the agenda. We have a few public members here. Thank you. No comment? Correspondence.
Already read the correspondence from the MHPN. There's none other than that.
Okay, DDA director.
Hi.
Downtown Development Authority. I wanted to come and introduce myself, say hello, and I look forward to being part of the process in the future. We're part of the ad hoc blight committee, and there's a new public committee called Magic Manistee, which is an all-volunteer committee. So we're looking forward to seeing engagement in both of those groups in the near future in the downtown. Not 100% sure where, they don't have anything set in stone, but both of those groups look forward to doing something starting this summer. I'll keep you posted.
How's the tax situation goes with the tax increment financing?
City Council approved for us to go through the public hearing process last night. Last night was our first setting. Our next one is on February 18th. We're inviting public comment for the amendments to the tax increment financing plan, which includes the financing and targeted projects for the next 25 years.
So you're asking for an extension of 25 years? Is there anything the DDA needs to know from the Historic Commission?
Not at this time, but we look forward to having some more engagement, especially with the rental rehab program and the facade program. We'd like to expand both of those. So that's something I'd like to be more involved with than the Historic District Commission in the near future. Do you have any questions for me?
Nope.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a point, I don't know if anybody knows, that Guardian Angels has moved on with their historical request that passed through Lansing. So I think they're in the final stage now of being declared a historical structure. I don't know if anybody's aware of that, but.
Good.
Yep. I'm applying for historical status on myself.
You might be waiting a while, I don't know.
Sorry, Dennis, was that a question or a statement? I'm sorry, you're asking,
Guardian Angels, you know, they're applying for a historical building from the state, and they, I guess it went through Lansing. That was their next step, a couple weeks ago or last week.
yeah,
And I think they've got one more step to finish up yet.
That's
And
great.
I think, yeah, it looks like they're on their way to being declared a historical.
that's great. Thanks, I'll reach out to them to, and see their status, and I'll update next meeting about their status. Does that work?
Doesn't directly involve us, but
Yeah, it was just a
always
point.
good to know. Okay, museum directors or curators not here, planning and zoning administrators not here. Member discussion, I would just like to say I am remiss in not introducing our newest commission member, Debbie Greenacre. She's the museum director in Manistee.
Library director.
Or, I'm sorry, yes, library. Been here for about, what, 3 years?
Over 2 years.
What can you tell us?
I tell you, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of the Historic District Commission. I have a passion for older buildings, and this is the second Carnegie Library I've worked in, and I have some of these issues that I might have to fill out one of these forms. I've got some work I need to do to the library, so yeah, so I'm just excited to see how I can help and how we can keep our older buildings vital.
Any other members have any other comments?
Just a comment, has anybody bothered to view some of the comments about the Western Michigan facade being done? There's quite a bit of blowback away what people are saying about the way it is.
I'm not hearing you, so I'm sorry.
Oh, the Western Reserve, Western Michigan building that was,
West Shore?
the Western Michigan offices, they're gonna be in the corner. That you know, the awnings and the cornice up top and everything, and there's been quite a bit of blowback on negative comments about the way the building is not looking very Victorian, just to bring that to light.
I haven't gotten any negative comments at all.
I've heard nothing.
Yeah. If you go
And I will say that, you know, part of the guidelines is that when you're redoing a building like that, it's frowned upon to try to imitate a Victorian. What you want to do is make it something that's compatible with the downtown area. We approved that project. I think that assumes that we think that it was compatible with the downtown area, and I'm sure there's all kinds of people who want their own ideas, but we've approved it the way it is, so. I don't know that there's any way that we can disapprove it now because somebody doesn't like it. If they change it, I think they have to come back to us.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I mean, if they change the design in any kind of a radical
Right.
way, then they're gonna have to come back to us and we're gonna have to look at the project again, but we've approved it as it is right now.
What were the negative comments?
Not really looking anything like Victorian, looks like a CVS, not really.
Well,
much of a
it's
change.
not a Victorian when it was meant, when it was put up there, right?
Well, I'm just saying, the comments,
Yeah.
you know, they felt it really wasn't very much of a change for what's there, honestly.
Okay.
If I could give some advice about, if you're ever dealing with negative comments in the future, feel free to invite them to the HGC meetings for public comments, or other ways to correspond with the commission is letters or emails to the staff member, to myself, and I'd be more than happy to share those if they're signed and on letter and dated, or if someone was in person and gave their name and address, it'd be more appropriate moving forward. I mean, everyone has negative comments, or some people have negative comments about many different projects in town, but if you're following the guidelines and that you've had a substantial vote and process where more, a quorum was present and the vote happened, then their comments can be received and read into correspondence, but other than that, it's,
Just
I
a
think
point I
there's-
thought I'd bring up.
I think if there's an organization that's really concerned about public perceptions, then it's up to them to deal with those public perceptions. If they want to present a project publicly, at some point, they can do that however they want to. We don't require that, other than the fact that it's presented to us in a public meeting. But we don't have to have any kind of a special announcement of a public presentation of a plan. Does that sound correct?
yeah. So just, if anyone has negative comments, invite them to write to me or to come speak their mind in public, you know.
Hearing nothing else,
So moved.